Governor Fayemi of Ekiti State has criticized the poor state of schools in some parts of the north amid growing calls for stricter security measures in schools with the region and other parts of the country to forestall the spate of adoptions witnessed in past weeks. He expressed shame at the level of dilapidation witnessed in identified schools in the north, noting the negative impact the poor infrastructure have on security and quality of learning, particularly in face of episodic attacks that all but reveals the vulnerability of the schools and have shaken the confidence of parents, jeopardizing efforts to drive up enrollment and reduce the disturbingly high number of out-of-school children. Governor Fayemi made this whilst receiving Professor Julius Ihonvbere led House of Representatives Committee on Basic Education and Services that is presently touring states in the country, beginning in the Southwest, to carry out oversight functions in the education sector, including critical assessments of investments and results to ensure even progress in attaining national education goals set by the federal government. Governor Fayemi, who is also the chairman of the Governors Forum, said he was disappointed with the level of dilapidation he saw during recent visits to schools where adoptions took place recently in the northern part of the country. He said he was ashamed to see the level of dilapidation in those schools.
Safety and security of children in schools. Over the last 2-3 months, I've been to Kankara, to Kagara, to Ihonvbere on behalf of the government. And these are places where children have been abducted on account of what you have just said. And when you see the structures in some of those schools, you ask yourself that this actually look more like pigsties and abandoned institutions than schools, where you have students in boarding system. So we do have a duty and a responsibility to keep schools safe for our children. We can't put them in harm's way and expect magic to happen. Some parents would necessarily begin to balk at the idea of the one sending the children to school, and we know the implication of that in many parts of the country. Already it's a struggle to get them to school. Now when they start getting kidnapped and abducted, the parents will just totally object to the idea of the children going to school. So we must do everything to improve on our safety and security systems in schools.
On what his administration is doing to avoid such abductions in Ekiti State and improve the learning conditions, the governor told the House Committee of his administration's consistent assessing of the Universal Basic Education Committee counterpart funds due to its prioritization of education funding in its budgetary considerations. He said, "In our state, Ekiti, we are doing everything humanly possible to protect our children in schools. Apart from fencing the schools, we are also providing all that will keep them safe while in school. We have assessed the Universal Basic Education Commission counterpart funds from 2014 to 2020. We are doing our best because basic education is the basis or foundation for our children who are the future of tomorrow." He also sought the introduction of an amendment to the UBEB Act condition mandating state governments to provide counterpart funds before assessing the grants.
Basic education is the foundation of everything, and once you don't get it right there, it's like lawyers tell us, you can't build something on nothing. One of the things that we have had to do now in my other hat as the chairman of the Governors Forum is to push an argument with the president that the backlog of funds that we have in UBED is also a function of the inability of some states to raise counterpart funding, and that it is necessary to step down counterpart funding in order for states to access this money that is just sitting there. And the president has agreed with us, but pending the time that the law could go to you for a review, what has been done is an executive order which we have just commented on and which I believe would be used as the basis of this suspension of counterpart funding on the part of states. And that would then enable states to take more accelerated action on the schools.
For his part, Professor Julius Ihonvbere, the committee chairman representing Ihonvbere constituency, restated the committee's oversight functions, goals in the state, assuring the governor of an objective assessment devoid of any ill will. He reiterated the importance of basic education as the key to protecting the future of the country, hence the National Assembly's spirited drive to ensure national commitment to upgrading the quality of learning obtainable across the country with direct and consistent engagement of all levels of government.
The future of this country cannot be guaranteed without full attention to basic education. And I think as governor of Ekiti State, one of the ways in which you will write your name in the sands of history, as you've already done in many areas, is to continue to support the basic education system in the state. We used to say if basic education is corrupted, contaminated, and compromised, it can only produce thugs, area boys, and criminals that will lead to even untold unforeseen disasters for the country. So for me, it's a pleasure to be in your presence with my committee members.
Professor Julius Ihonvbere and House of Committee had previously visited Lagos and Ogun states. Uzaizi